Hello, everybody, and welcome to Machtails from the Cantina Live, episode number 41, the first ever Machtails from the Cantina Easter special.
Jesus rose from the dead.
Hide the eggs. Those are Easter eggs, and I'm the Easter Bunny. I gotta move these here eggs.
Today's guests include Impractical Joker's Christopher Sorrentino. You might also know him as Baby Belushi. The Rankin Bass biographer and historian Rick Goldschmidt also joins the show, here to talk about not one, not two, but 3 Rankin Bass Easter specials. Easter Boba will also be filling our baskets. He will also be here on the show. Questioned by Mocktails from the Cantina producer Ian Savage. And brother Rich Brendel will be here to share a beer and a cheer. Show producer Matthew Rooney will be behind the board today. Sit back, crack open a cold one, and don't get too high on that Easter grass. I am your show host, Chris Mock, and we are live inside the Wampa Cave.
Let's get fucked up.
Let the tomfoolery and hijinks begin. And happy Easter weekend to you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in live. And for those of you that will eventually get around to the playback, your likes and your subscriptions on YouTube are always important, but we're in such a hole in that department that we will never make any cash that way. But you can join us on Patreon. And I want to give a shout out to all my Patreon supporters, not by name, because I'm very blessed that there's a lot of them, and especially the show producers working behind the board on the shows, as well as just creating great content alongside with me on what makes Mocktails from the Cantina so desirable to you guys that are supporting the show. But man, we got a great show for you guys today. It is the Easter special. While some of you are out at Celebration, I'm at home celebrating the holiday with my family. Years ago, there was a Star Wars celebration in Orlando, and I got away with that once, but not twice, not twice. Hey, speaking about Patreon members, the good guy names are in this tin. You have to tune in live. Michael Wistock won yesterday, but he's got to be watching it on the playback. And I have not heard from him yet. He's out in Vegas, and I know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Hey, let's use the Force again. I know this is not how the Force works, but it does when you're inside the Cantina. Drinking word of the night is Easter. Every time you heard the weird word Easter, drink along with us, man, and cheers and happy Easter to you guys. But without further ado, I want to bring on my first guest tonight that you guys know from the Star Wars community as Baby Belushi, as he made his, I'm going to say, stake in the fandom, Star Wars fandom, with Rebel Force Radio at Celebration in Anaheim. But without further ado, would you please welcome to the show, Christopher Sorrentino. Christopher, thank you so much for joining the show, man. Cheers.
Thanks for having me. Cheers. Let's get fucked up this Easter.
Hey, I love that intro, man. I love that intro.
Me
and
too.
it really sets the tone. Let's start with the question that I am not familiar with, because you have a lot of stuff out there, and I want to make sure that people follow you. And one, the stuff that you do with your kids is
that sounds terrible.
It's so inspirational, man. It's so cool that you do the fart party stuff with them.
Yeah, fart party's gonna be coming back. Actually, we did like a whole season. It was during the pandemic. I was like, you know what, let's do something. And we fucking just, I'm from a film background, and I work with jokers, and I work with theater companies. So like, I know production, and it's what I went to college for. I have a BA in film. And so, I'm one of those dudes.
That's awesome.
So I applied it to just showing them, and they ran with it. My older guy is starting high school in September, and he's in like the visual arts program, and it's a whole thing. Like, it just took off. But yeah, so we decided to just do this crazy show, Fart Party, because we would actually have fart parties. So a fart party is like, just you get like the fucking worst food you can get. Like, you just order Domino's or whatever, you get a bunch of Mountain Dew, and this is just crap, and you watch a bunch of farty movies, and you just fart all over each other. It's like it brings me back to like sleepovers I'd have, like my cousin or friends. You know what I mean? Like, you're 12, you're watching like the stupidest horror movies, and you know, you're not at that age where you're really like drinking or anything yet. You know what I mean? So like, a good
Yeah.
time is a bunch of soda and junk food and like farting on your friend's face when he falls asleep. You
Yeah, it
know what I
brings
mean?
back memories of that because I remember having these fart parties with my friends, but my
Yeah.
one friend was so crazy. He would have a lighter by his ass
No, one of those guys.
and fart, and you would see it like,
Oh,
that was a fart party on a whole another level.
for
No,
sure.
it's so cool that you have this film background and you're applying it, and it sounds like Mocktails was born out of the pandemic. It was like, hey, we got to do something to make sure that we don't drive
Yeah,
ourselves nuts.
I
How
get it.
did you get into comedy? Because I know I mean, you're kind of like cut from the comedian cloth. How did
Yeah.
you go down that route? I know that's a little different than the film industry.
Yeah, I don't know. I just just a lifelong laugher. Had a funny dad, you know. He kind of got me into the right stuff, and I kind of grew up with, like, it's Blues Brothers and Ghostbusters, like those films. But then, like, Kids in the Hall and Saturday Night Live, and I don't know. I was just tuned into the right stuff at the right times, and I just knew that was where I want to go. And then and I would always do like silly things and crazy. I was like a crazy guy growing up. Like, I would run around and do like the most bizarre shit. And we just started filming it and doing stupid shit like that. So me and some friends made this crazy video. It was absolutely wild. And we put it on Staten Island cable, and it got like ripped down. Like, we were 17, they pulled it down that night. It was offensive on every level. Just imagine, like, you're 17 in the 90s. Like, just that's it. It's filth. It's just disgusting.
You know, the stuff that you were doing probably then was probably when I was doing when I was 10 in the 80s.
Yeah.
But I can imagine, the crazy, stupid shit that got us in trouble.
Just fun shit. Yeah, just run. I would steal my dad's camcorder. It was a VHS fucking camcorder, and just filming crazy shit. It was before like things like Jackass came out. So we would like, there was this like Chinese food restaurant we would just run into, and just like with the camera, and just start egging everybody in the place and run out, like real bizarre stuff. So we put that on cable, and I met a guy through a mutual friend. He helped us get it on cable,
You
and
put this like a local access cable?
yeah, like a local access,
Yeah.
CTV. I'm over here in Staten Island, New York, so it'd be like Staten Island Community Television.
Okay.
And this guy wound up being my hetero life mate, John Zaluga, my best friend in the world. We still work together. We do Super Live Adventure podcast together, and yeah, we've just been doing comedy together. So it's a lot of like, working, making friends in comedy, and then you kind of branch out from there. That's really how it happened. Is me and Zaluga started doing everything together. And yeah, he does his own, I do mine, we do stuff together. He's a writer on Jokers. He's a writer on Impractical Jokers. So, which is weird, we got hired the same season 5.
Small
But
world kind of thing?
him and I both knew Sal Volcano. We would do our show Super Live Adventure from his bar live. That's how
Oh, that's awesome.
it got the
That's my
name.
dream.
Yeah, it was cool. It used to be this bar on Staten Island called The Cup, and Sal was an owner of it. And we would just hang out there, and we would ring a bell like that, and the bartender would bring us another drink. And so that became like a staple on the show. So every time we ring a bell, people have a drink. So it's kind of like what you're doing with the secret word. It's like we were doing that too. It's like so people could drink,
Yeah. It
drink
sounds like we
along.
have a very similar background,
I know, right? I love it. I love it.
What
But
are you drinking tonight, by the way? It looks like a Guinness.
Guinness. Yeah.
Oh, you can't
Guinness.
go wrong with a Guinness, man.
You cannot go wrong with a
No.
Guinness. Absolutely.
No, absolutely not. So what was your first your first introduction to Belushi. And I have a
Oh shit.
small world story I want to share with you, but I want to know what your connection, your introduction, I should say, to Belushi was.
You know what? I could not actually. I probably can't remember because, like I said, I kind of grew up with SNL and being a kid born in the late '70s. You know what I mean? Like he was just always there. But I'd say like junior high, I really, when like that age and you start like discovering your own music, you know what I mean? Like you're not listening to like whatever your parents had on or
Yeah.
with maybe an older brother or sister. You just kind of find your own groove. And like that's when I found the Blues Brothers. And like it just I don't know, it blew my mind. And it was like, yeah, I just kind of like I knew the movie, but I didn't know they had like albums, live albums. They're recording it, open up for Steve Martin and fucking opening for the Dead. And like I had no idea this existed. I just thought it was like a movie and a fucking SNL sketch that you'd always see on a clip show, like a
Yeah.
best of,
Right.
you know what I
And then
mean?
you
Like,
found out that Paul Schaefer was in the band too, right?
yeah, Paul
You're
the
like, oh my
Shiv
gosh, there's
Schaefer.
like a serious connection here.
Yeah, right. But
So it
yeah,
was,
I don't
it was kind
know.
of like a household name. Obviously you grew up with Saturday Night Live in the late '70s. I
Yeah.
feel like my parents introduced me to that stuff like way too young. Like I was 5 in 1980, and I remember my parents were into that kind of stuff. But seeing that at that age, I was like, man, this is a little too extreme for myself right now.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that feeling. I actually I would have nightmares about like a particular sketch I would see in the '80s as a kid. It was God, I don't even remember what cast, what year, but it was like a jogger running through Central Park, and then he'd run under the bridge. Like the bridge that they use in every fucking movie, Home
Yeah, yeah.
Alone, and and
The
he's like
Central Park
runs.
Bridge, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He runs under it and like gets stuck. It's like a giant glue trap. And it's like joggers run in, but they can't run out. It was like a
Oh, that's
big
great.
and like it's hysterical, but like when you're 5 and you're watching, you're like, oh God,
Yeah.
what? Why? No. I
Yes,
was
like, oh my god, that could really happen. And then a little 5-year-old you is probably going through Central Park, like not
yeah.
worried about the people getting mugged, but like the trap, right?
No, yeah, fuck the rapists and muggers. I'm worried about the glue, man. And it's like, you know what? And it cuts away from the sketch and there's a laugh. And like everybody's laughing, and I'm like, what happened? What happened to him?
Yeah.
It's freaking me out.
Yeah,
So yeah, I get that.
but what the cool thing about the Blues Brothers was that it was not slap sticky crazy like that,
No, smart comedy. It's just the same thing with
And they
Ghostbusters
had
and
the music. They had the musical talent that really
Mhm.
brought that all together and made it more than just a fun sketch.
It really, really is like top-notch musicians. It's fucking crazy. It's actually cool. I'm gonna go see most of the band in like a couple of weeks out here at a convention called Chiller Theater in New Jersey. It's gonna be like Tom Bones Malone and Blue Lou
And
Marini,
it,
and
it- it's it. The name of it sounds like a horror convention. You said Chiller.
that's how it started, and that would open it up. Dude, I'm telling you, if you want to fucking laugh, read the lineup of guests. It's like the craziest fucking group. It's like it's out of control. It's like Michael Bean and fucking the Blues Brothers band and
Yeah,
like a Saved by the Bell reunion.
and then
It's
Freddy
like
Krueger.
yeah, he might even be. It's like the most innocuous group of fucking people you'll ever see in your life. It's
But it
bizarre.
still has that horror convention name
I guess
tied
yeah,
to it.
they bought the website and they were like, "Oh, we can't go back."
Yeah, that's crazy. That's great. I want to talk to you about your event coming up, but a couple things, man. The small world connection is that my dad went to Wheaton High School,
Oh,
which
Wheaton,
is
yeah.
where Belushi went.
Yep, yep,
Um,
yep.
they were not. I don't want to say they were not friends because my dad was like a senior when Belushi was a freshman, but I knew that there was always this connection here in the burbs
Yeah.
with him, especially in Wheaton, because my grandparents lived there until they died. Actually, it was like Wheaton was like their hometown.
Yeah.
Um, Introduction to Star Wars for you. How did that start?
Same, just lifelong. I just
Always there, kind of thing.
Excuse me. Yeah, one of the earliest things I could remember from my childhood is like that Empire Strikes Back hardcover storybook. Remember that? Like that the big clunky like that. I don't know. I just like I
Yeah, yeah,
just
the storybook. They had one
yeah.
for each movie. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
right, right.
Like
With all the pictures and all that.
yep. That's the one of
Yeah,
the first things I could just like if I think of like early memories, it's just that and like he's playing with Star Wars toys. It was I I was probably the kid that like saw it once or twice, but played with the toys so much until I got like a VCR. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Like you knew the toy world before the movie itself.
Probably. I would imagine. I probably had seen Jedi was probably like the first one I saw, I could imagine. And like that's 84 and I'm already 6, 7 years old by then, you know? So
Yeah,
like
sure, sure.
I was more
So you saw Jedi in '84, a year after
I'm
it was
sorry,
already.
83. I'm sorry, 83.
Okay, so but you did see it in '83. I was
Yeah,
thinking that
83. I remember
back
seeing it in 83, definitely, because I remember, because I'm
first, yeah.
also a freelance artist. I've always been an artist my whole life. That's the first thing I can remember drawing, actually. I remember coming home from the movie and drawing the Job of the Hut scene in like
Yeah,
2000. Like I remember that. It was fucking crazy, but that like really resonated with me
yeah.
was just
Jabba's
that
palace, all
scene.
those creatures in that. It was kind of like for
Yeah.
us, because if you think about it, The Empire Strikes Back didn't really have that cantina or Jabba's palace scene. It was much more subtle, I think. It was more about
Yeah.
the stop motion, the AT-ATs, the tauntaun, that sort of thing.
You
The
definitely appreciate
storyline.
as you're older, you know what I mean? Like, especially as a kid in the '80s and you're like, "Oh, everything's Muppets and shit." So, like, you got,
Yeah,
like, these
yeah, yeah, we grew up on
fucking
that, right? I mean, that
yeah.
was it,
That movie's the perfect marriage of it. That's why, you know, like, one of the most recent episodes of Mandalorian when, you know, fucking, uh, 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 God, why can't I think of his name? Fucking Apollo Creed is talking to a big
hey,
puppet of a
Grief,
ho like a
Grief
ho
Karga, right?
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
Creef Garga. And he's talking to, a a a goddamn Muppet on a
yeah, in the street, yes.
hologram, and I'm like, "This is the most Star Wars I've ever seen," like, I've seen since '83. This feels so fucking Star Wars to me.
Yeah,
Just
right, right.
a dude stumbling through lines talking to a fucking puppet. Like, I was like, "It's perfect. Absolutely
Yeah.
perfect."
Well, I think that's what we love about it. The folks that grew up with Star Wars, when we see that stuff, there's an element of nostalgia. Speaking
100%.
of nostalgia, what is your favorite Belushi project? Your
Oh,
favorite Belushi movie? Do
Blues
you have
Brothers,
one?
hands down.
Which one?
Blues Brothers, hands down.
Blues Brothers. Okay, it's
Blues
funny
Brothers is a perfect movie.
when I had some of my friends over the other night. I listened to that. I'm a huge aficionado of Bill Graham, the Contra promoter that
Okay,
put
yeah,
that
yeah.
show on. The Blues Brothers. I think it was New Riders of the Purple Sage, and then Grateful Dead on New Year's Eve. And I
Mhm.
listened to that. That is just a great performance. I want to say that might have been from 1978 if my memory serves me well. Now you got
Probably. That's when they toured, like 78 to 80, really.
yeah, right, and it was that small window, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Um,
Unfortunately.
Now a lot you have a lot of different things out there that people can watch, people can follow you, people can
Mhm.
listen to. Where is the best place for people to reach out? Is there an umbrella website or an umbrella YouTube page that a lot of people can check out
Yeah.
all your fun stuff?
I would say just say go to superliveadventure.com. Check out the podcast.
Superliveadventure.com.
Yeah, and once you get into that world, you could find me everywhere. I'm all over social media. I'm all over the fucking place. You could once you once you get like that lock onto me, you could find me anywhere.
Now you
Pretty
got a
much.
live show coming up on
Yes.
420. Now, why did you pick the date 420? Was there a reason for that?
Well, it's I'm smoking some of that special Easter grass right now. Uh,
Remember, don't get too high on that Instagram.
yeah, man. Yeah, well, I'm going to see the Mario Brothers movie after this, so you know what I mean. I'm ready to to jump
Yeah,
into the
you gotta
screen.
indulge a little bit before you go. Hey,
I've never
Ma-
seen a movie sober. It's in my adult life. I'm not kidding.
I hate to say that, but it's like me in baseball games. I've been to 300 baseball games. I've always had
Nice.
at least a few.
How could you not? Come on, you kidding me? Like,
Exactly. Okay, so this is for your, I want to say your 10th anniversary, correct? Is it 10th
yep.
anniversary?
Yeah, 10th anniversary that we've been putting the show out, which is fucking crazy to begin with. We have like, God, over 400 episodes. But this is the thing, 300 of them are like locked behind Patreon to keep it fresh. You know, you don't really, you know what I mean? Like, you don't really want to hear old stuff unless you're into those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
sure. I can relate to that too.
yeah, exactly. So you start fresh and you get in now, you know what I mean? You enjoy some of the stuff. But it's yes, it's my podcast I do with Saluga, it's Super Live Adventure, and then the Wahoo Skiffle Crazies Jug Band is playing. I've also been in that jug band for like 15 years or 16 years. Like
Oh
I'm
shit.
the jug player of the jug band, a Staten Island jug band.
Okay, I got to ask you this. We're going Bill Graham era again.
There
13
you
Floor
go.
Elevators, a really cool psychedelic band
Yeah.
from Austin. Now, is this stuff psychedelic jug band, or is it more like Emmett Otter's jug band, Christmas kind
No,
of jug band?
it's psychedelic. It's more. Sometimes we call it junk because it's kind of jug punky, but it is psychedelic,
Okay,
but it's
very
it's
cool.
it's it's fucking wild. Like we'll do like which side are you on, but like a punk, like which side are you on? Which side are you on? Ba, 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 ba. It's like
Yeah.
dude, it's fucking wild. We actually first time I ever came out to Chicago was 2015. We were involved in a battle of the jug band. So every jug band in the country that was like,
No
up to
kidding. Yeah.
snuff. Yeah, we fucking drove out there, played this
From the East
show.
Coast. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like 14 hours or something. We all took turns. We did it in like 2 cars because there's like fucking 9 of us in the band. It's wild. And
Wait, you got 9 people in the jug band?
it's sometimes it rotates. It's like people, it's just a hangout. It's
That's awesome. Now,
yeah.
you guys, can people listen to your music anywhere?
Yeah, man, we're on Spotify. You can find Wahoo Skiffle Crazies. But
That's
yeah, we, we
awesome.
we came out to Chicago. You can find us on YouTube. Look out, you can see the videos. We blew the roof off the place. We won. We took it home. We were best jug band in the country.
No.
2015. Yeah, I swear
Now,
to God.
do you play anything else besides? Do you play guitar or drums?
No. I
Just
just
the
play. I
jug.
play with my. I play with my jugs and I play with myself.
That is brilliant, man. That is awesome.
Yeah,
So
I'm a
if
weird
people
guy.
are not able to attend your event for your 10-year anniversary,
hmm
which sounds like a great event, can people? Is it streaming anywhere? Or is this more like you have?
No, you gotta be there. I mean, you can listen to the podcast. The audio will be released. I'm sure there'll be people posting videos and pictures and shit, but no, it's kind of like you gotta be there
Yeah,
or be
the
square.
pandemic's behind us now. You have to show up in person.
Yeah,
All
man.
this streaming shit. Unfortunately, we're still streaming the live show at this point. What was your first concert that you attended?
Whew, that's a good question. You know what? I don't know. I would have. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think probably. I'm gonna repeat that again. I know I just said that twice in a row. I really stumped and stoned. Go figure. It was probably one of them there, like oh, what the fuck, like a Lollapalooza or something like that. My
Okay, sure,
parents
sure.
never took me
Like a
to a
festival
yeah,
kind of
I
thing.
mean, I'm not talking about local or like, you know what I mean? You go to like a museum or something. You know what I mean? Like one of these old towns and there's a guy playing a banjo, like
Yeah, right,
you know what I mean? Like it's like some shit like that. I mean, like not the Chuck E.
like
Cheese
an actual
band.
concert, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah, like an actual it was probably like a Lollapalooza, like a 94 type of thing. Like they would come to Randall's Island in New York. And you know what? Those are great because you would see, I mean, you're gonna see a bunch of bands you don't want to think about anymore. You're gonna like for every Papa Roach, you saw the Beastie Boys. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, sure, sure. You saw a legend for every handful of
yeah, like you
acts.
wanna but dude, through those, like fucking Lollapaloozas and like Warped Tours and shit like that. I saw like Metallica, Soundgarden, like I said, Beasties, Rage Against the Machine, Wu-Tang, like Beck, like real crazy. Yeah, it just really weird opportunities that you wouldn't normally get, like, especially now. Like, you try to go to a show now, it's like, "Fuck you." They like, are you kidding me? Like, it's like $700 fucking dollars to go see
Yeah, right,
somebody
right. No,
play, like,
it's
suck my
crazy. I mean,
dick.
and the fact that I was born in '75, you were born
Mhm.
just a couple of years after that. We grew up
Yeah,
with
78.
seeing these legends in the '90s, '80s, and
Yeah.
'90s. And for $25, you go to Lollapalooza #2 for $25. You get Red
Yeah,
Hot Chili Peppers and Pearl Jam and Ministry and all these other bands.
yeah, you see 10 killer bands.
Yeah, for $25. And now it's like you go to a show, it's like, $1,500 for the weekend. It's crazy,
It's
man.
miserable. I wouldn't do it. I don't know. To me, there's nobody really around I wanna see that's worth that much money to me that I haven't seen already.
Yeah,
Sorry if that sounds shitty, but, like, that's honestly
What about the
nobody
first
impresses me.
first piece of music that you purchased on your own?
Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction.
Oh, that's a good first one, man.
Yeah, that was the first, like, I bought that fucking
Cassette,
that
CD, or
yeah, it was the
vinyl?
cassette, and it was the one before it got banned, that piece of artwork, the
Yeah,
controversial
with the
piece of
girl.
artwork.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah, the
You
girl,
had the
yep,
robot race. You
the
had the robot
robot rape.
rapist.
Yep, yep, I
on,
remember
on
having
on the
that.
back. Yeah, that's a great album. That still is timeless. And
Fucking A. Yeah, it really
you
holds
know,
up, man.
it still holds up. Yeah, and it was like they
Yeah,
started right off right out of the gate with the really really quality album that still holds up to this day.
yeah, for
All right, man.
sure.
Well, hey, before I let you go, it is Easter weekend. I know you got a little. You're indulging in a little Easter grass there. When you were a kid,
Cannibal.
when you were getting visits from the Easter Bunny,
Yeah.
what was the one thing that you still remember? Like, man, I cannot believe I got that in my Easter basket.
Um,
Were you spoiled enough to get Star Wars action figures in your Easter basket?
you wanna hear spoiled. It's gonna disappoint you. It's not Star Wars, but my dad, like, splurged and bought me the Sega CD, which I guess I did use to play Rebel Assault. So I have Rebel Assault too, so I guess that is tied into Star Wars. But, one of the whatever one was on Sega CD. Shit, I don't even remember. Rebel Assault might have been PlayStation 1. I don't know, one of
But you
them
got that. You
there.
got that for Easter?
Yeah, my dad hooked me up. He's a real good dude, and, like, I was a good dude too, and so if he knew I really wanted something, it wasn't like he was always buying me shit, but if it was something like I really wanted,
Yeah,
he'd
yeah.
he'd he would do it, like,
That seems more
just
like
as
a
a surprise.
Christmas thing instead of an Easter
Mhm.
thing.
You would think, and dude, I'm not raised any kind of like, I'm born Catholic, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, in my entire life, I've probably been in a church, like, less than 100 times, you know
Hey,
what I
less than
mean?
100 times for a Catholic. That's
Well, yeah, but, like, fake Catholic, you know what I mean? Like, when I
yeah,
like,
sure, sure.
it's not even like that, you know what I mean?
Now, you got any plans for tomorrow?
No, just chilling, man. I
Chilling
mean,
with the family.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we do Easter in, like, the, I guess, like, the, non-religious way where it's,
Yeah, sure, sure.
we colored eggs. We actually did I did like a Cody egg and a Rex egg and,
That's
like,
all. Yeah,
and a Soka Trooper egg.
you
It
gotta do
came out
that. There
dope.
is no age limit on coloring eggs. I told my
Yeah.
daughter that. I said before my daughter, we did that last night. She's 8. I'm like, Daddy was coloring eggs 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. Dude,
It's
I'll still
always,
color eggs.
it's funny. I had some friends over for an Easter egg coloring thing back in like '93, and we
Mhm.
got so high out of our minds. I had this guy that was like really, really good with art, and he took a pencil and on the egg he would draw like marijuana leaves and mushrooms and like like, like Fillmore kind of poster art on
Yeah,
the egg.
that's
And I'm like, oh
wild.
my God, this is so crazy.
That's fucking wild.
I was never able to live up to that Easter egg coloring experience ever again.
Hard. Yeah, right? It's hard coloring on an egg the way it's shaped. It's
Yeah.
very hard. Give anyone props that can do it. like really well. You know what I mean? It's a
It is, man. It is a bitch.
awkward shape
It
to
is
draw.
hard. And I remember Mario was his name. There's your tie-in to going to see Mario Brothers.
Nice, nice.
His name was Mario, the like stoner artist, and he used to do these cool like drugadelic eggs.
That sounds like a cool dude to me.
Yeah, it was fun.
Here's to
Man, you did
Mario.
fun. Hey, cheers to you. And again, people can check
Cheers
you
to you,
out
brother.
at
Thank you.
again the super high adventure. I want to say, right?
Oh, super live adventure, but we
Super
are
Live
usually
Adventure. I'm
super
kidding,
high.
Glenn Nelson's band, High
Yeah.
Adventure mixed in with
Yeah, just about
Super Live Adventure. And you guys
yeah.
got the show coming up on 420, and people can check you out that way. And you also have a Patreon. So
a little chub club. That's the Patreon, a little chub club.
Little Chub Club. I love it, man. Hey, cheers to you.
Cheers, brother.
Have a great Easter weekend, man. Thank
You
you again
too.
for your time, brother.
Great talking to you, man.
Take care. Great talking to you. Hey, without further ado, I want to bring on brother Rich Brendel for a beer and a chair, man. He was on the show last night. Rich, dude, thank you for the time. As always, man. And
no problem, man.
I got to do this again to you, brother. We got to make this drinking meaningful. I know it always inspires us, but who are you raising your glass to today, and what are you drinking?
I am drinking a Mobcraft fish fry rye.
Yeah, Mobcraft, that's your favorite brewery from the area? You said that on the show.
Yeah. It's like the only rye beer that actually tastes like rye bread. It's very bready and it's awesome stuff. So I'm and today I'm just cheering to hope, with it being Easter time and stuff.
Hey, amen to that, man. Hope and renewal.
Time. Yeah, hope and renewal, exactly, and all that. So
cheers, man.
Cheers.
I can't compete with your brother. I can't do it.
Oh.
I can't. You got any Easter plans for tomorrow?
Watch the Star Wars live stream.
So no church tomorrow morning?
Yeah, I'm gonna play hooky and watch the live stream.
Hey, look at that, man! Look at that. You're gonna play hooky from church and watch the live stream. Because they are 6 hours ahead. So I know when you wake up in the morning, that's going to be like, what I'm assuming maybe afternoon. You're going to have to play catch up, no?
Yeah, I usually, like what I did today for the live stream, I got up and, now that I'm done chugging, I can sit down here.
But stand up for that, for sure.
Yeah. So with the, what I did today for the live stream, I just woke up. I just rewound it when it got. I just went through after I got up and
you got up.
like after it ended. After it ended for the day, I just rewound it, and I didn't get up. It's the weekend. I didn't get up at 6 a.m. to watch it as it was happening, but the Clone Wars thing was I'm sorry you don't like Clone Wars, but
hey, no, everybody's got to stop saying it. It's not that I don't like the Clone Wars. I just haven't watched it all the way through yet. But
yeah. Their 15-year anniversary thing was pretty awesome.
Yeah, 2008. 2008.
Yeah. So that was probably the highlight of the day, I think. But
so, is there any? I'm gonna bring on producer Ian Savage and talk a little bit about the celebration headlines. But before I let you go, Rich, Easter. What was in that Easter basket so many moons ago where you're like, I can't believe I got that? Did you get a video game system in there, or?
my parents were cheap. They just did candy.
Just candy.
They didn't do any toys.
You know what?
Just candy.
My parents were a little like that. I got years ago. I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I got like a children's Bible story book, and then years after that, I was getting I got a Halloween, the band Halloween. I got a cassette of that. I remember in '92, I was getting Dark Horse Star Wars comics in there. But that's the thing about Easter. It's not Christmas, man. It's different.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
It's different. But
Yep.
just chocolate for you, just candy.
Yeah, just jelly beans and chocolate. Those little malted milk ones are good.
Is there a
Like
candy?
the robin eggs.
Yeah, the robin. Is it the most nostalgic Easter candy to you?
Yeah. That are just like the Cadbury eggs.
Yeah,
There's something about the candy. The candy coating's a little bit different on those than any of the other eggs, and they're just good.
Yeah, no, that's some good shit, man. Cadbury eggs and the eggs, the chocolate eggs with like the pastel coating. It's really light.
Yep.
Enough texture to make it where you're not biting into solid chocolate. Hey,
Yep,
Rick,
exactly.
Happy Easter to you. Thank you again, brother,
Happy
for
Easter, man.
supporting us on Patreon, but also sharing cheers and a beer, man. I'm really liking this segment, and we will chat with you later, brother. Have a good weekend and enjoy that live stream tomorrow, man.
You too, man.
All right,
bye.
Take care, brother. Hey, while we are waiting for the Rankin Bass historian, getting a little nervous about that because he was supposed to be waiting in the green room, but I'm going to do a little something right now with brother Ian Savage. Ian,
hello.
Welcome back to the show, man.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, great. Technical difficulties averted. All right, great.
So you've been sitting back there for 36 minutes going, what the hell? Is this going to work out? But hey, you made it on. Hey, you know what? I've caught up with some of the headlines from yesterday. None of the headlines from today. I'm sure there's got to be some kind of news that broke today. Let's do this little segment, an Easter miracle, we're going to call this. These are some headlines that you've gotten from Star Wars Celebration. What do you have for us? What's the first one?
I mean, dude, there is so much. Everybody knows, like Rich says, everybody in the Super Friends group has been glued and keeping me abreast of what's going on.
Do you think that there's more announcements at this celebration than like the last 3 that have happened?
I honestly, I mean, maybe for the live action and theatrical stuff, I don't know, because I have to go back and see what has been announced and not actually been produced over the last couple of years,
Yeah.
So I've kind of lost
movie production on us where they're like, hey, this is coming, and it never does happen.
and that's kind of gotten everybody, I think, like Tyler, a lot of people have said, I'll believe it when I see it. But there was some footage shown that was pretty amazing, just from like the snuck in cell phone clips that I was able to see online, or even the like the Ahsoka trailer, of course, that everybody got to see a big clear view of. I mean the big thing from the Ahsoka trailer, I think, announcement was that today, I believe. It's all becoming a blur, but was it's Lars Mikkelsen as Grand Admiral Thrawn. It was actually confirmed. Everybody kind of thought it was going to be and speculated it was going to be, but they actually brought him out on stage to, wave to the fans and step out of the shadows.
To confirm it officially. You know what I would say? I would say the fact that we're just getting Thrawn. Now, this is Thrawn in live action, correct? From what we saw in the Ahsoka trailer, we saw the back of his head.
Yeah, that's all we got.
So the fact that we're getting Thrawn 30, how many years? It's over 30 years. I remember the Zahn book came out in 91, and he was introduced in that trilogy. And the fact that we're getting live action him is amazing,
Yeah, and I'll admit I was never like fully versed on everything Thrawn, and I listened to the audiobooks. Were really awesome way to consume the original Thrawn trilogy, with all the sound effects and great work that the folks did for those. And I haven't caught up with the newer ones, but I think I've seen a lot of people say that they might not necessarily follow the EU, of course, which they destroyed supposedly years ago. But
Right. Like
somehow keeps showing
none
up.
of it's canon anymore.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. But so there will be a lot of elements and cool things from those books, and of course over the Rebel series and stuff. That's all going to tie in and really tickle everyone's fancy.
You have to you look, you can't do Thrawn without Zahn's books. You have to at least
Well,
tie
yeah,
in a little bit of that stuff.
yeah.
What's another headline you got for us?
Well, we had, of course, the 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi panel, and the big announcement that Ming Na Wen kind of threw out right at the end of the panel was that we get to see Return of the Jedi in theaters for a limited time. And everybody was like, wait, what? Like, we all went and backed up the live feed. And of course, yeah, like I didn't even quite process it the first time, but it's real exciting to be able to see this film back in the theater. I think the last time I did was had to be the special editions.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it wasn't a surprise to me simply because we had Empire for its 40th on the big screen.
Yeah.
It only makes sense that they do this one. And I know this film means a lot to the people that, like yourself, that were not necessarily born, between the years of 70 and 75. This was a big introduction to a lot of the people that were just at the tail end of the original trilogy. Such an important film. I know Christopher just talked about that. Baby Belushi had talked about that. That he's excited that this is coming back. Now, here's my disappointment. My hang up on this is that, it's so close to the original day of May 25th. Don't you think they could have threw it in the theater?
That's so true. I didn't even think, this whole time that didn't even cross my mind, Chris. I am not a good fan because I was just like, sweet.
I mean, it's great that it's happening, but as far as like the time, I get that it's going to play. I believe it's playing up until May 4th. I believe that's a great day to end.
Yeah, it said a week, I believe.
Yeah, a week is way too short, in my opinion.
I don't know why they would do that. It seems like something, tried and true. They put it in the theaters for a little bit. I don't know the cost of putting it in theaters versus what they would bring in, but I think that's a classic that people would all love to see and have the chance to see. A week doesn't seem like a big enough window, though.
No, you know what? I'm going to say that this is not an Easter miracle. It was more something expecting. I was expecting this. And the fact that they got the date off, May 25th, that date's close and dear to my heart for selfish reasons, obviously, my birthday. They could have had that play on that day. One more headline you have before we bring on Easter, Boba.
I mean, I guess the biggest thing that everybody's speculating on, we were talking about, films, and believe it when I see it, 3 films have been announced.
Yes. This is big. This is big news. This is
huge
news.
And the one I mean, I guess a lot of fans, people that are on there all the time speculating. I never thought they would go back to this, but a Rey film, 15 years after Disney is doing a Rey film, and it's so crazy to me, and I love it. My son loves the sequel trilogy. That's a big part of us getting to go see the films together, and I'm glad that they're expanding on this and hopefully give it a better take for fans, that might have been soured from past things that they didn't quite like.
Yeah, which I still don't understand personally, but I'll save that for a different episode.
Yeah.
To me, this is a little bit of an Easter miracle because I do love the fact that they are doing not 1, not 2, but 3 live action movies. Okay. I don't even want to say, well, I guess you say live action, but Star Wars should it should be live action. No offense to the Clone Wars freaks out there.
Oh, animated is a great expansion of the Star Wars mythos.
It is a good expansion, yes. It's a good expansion for people because, look, telling that story that was told, and even though I don't know the big picture of it, I know all those episodes made up that story of what would be the Clone Wars seasons. That would be very, very, very expensive to throw on the big screen. That would
Yeah.
be a small fortune. But the fact that they have Ray in a movie, to me, is great, because I was worried that we were going to get Star Wars that had nothing to do with Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Well, this is what they say, from what I gathered online, that the film will take place 15 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker, the final movie in the Skywalker saga, and the most recent Star Wars movie to hit the big screen. It will center around Rey forming a new Jedi Order. So I don't know what that means, because that's what Luke was doing, correct? So we're kind of getting the Luke story through Rey, the untold Luke story through Rey. It seems, at least from that
And like I
short
said,
description.
maybe you know what? Like, can we get that photo again? I'm sorry, I double stepped. Tyler knows that all too well, so I apologize, Matthew. Yeah, you know what? You know what's funny? What sticks out in that photo is to the right of Dave Filoni. That's where my eyes go immediately.
Of course, of course,
of course, right? But yeah, that is exciting. But what's even more exciting is that my next guest on the show is Easter Boba. And before I bring him on, Ian, you have this show with good friend and a Patreon supporter, Boston Dan, called Dan
yes,
and Ian Have Questions.
yes.
Dan and Ian Have Questions. I'm going to let you take this and do. I'm going to let you ask the questions, because I know I've asked enough questions on this show. I know it's my show, but I appreciate you as a producer of it. And
I feel like I'm getting put in a corner here. What's going on, Chris?
You're getting summons because I have Easter Boba himself joining the show right now. Ian, I'm going to let you man the helm of this.
Oh man. Well, hello, sir. Well, I guess as a foundling, did you use your helmet to collect your Easter eggs? Oh my God, the head of Yoda. Okay, we'll get the backstory sometime in the future on Disney Plus. On Mandalore, do you dye the eggs with the blood of your multiple enemies / bounties? Multicolored by that way. So you got aliens from all over the galaxy. Ancient Eastalorian secrets. Do your wrist rockets shoot carrots or candy? Nice. Oh, I don't want that thing flying at me at 1,000 miles an hour. Did you fill your Easter baskets with candy or toys? Uh-oh, let's see. 1 second. Oh, inside the gruesome head of Yoda. Uh-oh, what do we got? What do we got? Candy! Oh! Holy crap. We has his own figure. All right, that's amazing. So hopefully the Eastalorian will be stopping by my house tomorrow. I'll get you my address later just to make sure. All right. Yes. Yeah. I'll call you. Yeah. This is the egg. Oop. Can't hear you, Chris.
There we go. There we go. Hey, I was laughing at that segment because I was just filled with joy. Now, I wanted to mic myself. I wanted to mute myself because nobody wants to hear me chuckle. But hey, I got to tell you, it's not the Eastalorian. It is Easter Boba. We will never know the secret of why. But I know he's been around for a long time. I know he's, Easter's a lot of nostalgia. Do we have some of those questions from those old vintage 1970s recipes? Easter dishes, Ian, do you have?
Oh, I don't have any questions. Chris sent me an amazing link, and I was dumbfounded by some of the foods that were on this. And I mean, I guess I can ask you guys first: was there a traditional Chicago feast that you guys would have, an item local to your area?
No, it was not. But in the 70s, I don't know. The Easter boba might have grown. I know he's been around since the 70s, but there was some really wacky food that we had.
Yeah, the Easter boba's from the South Side. He knows what's up.
Everything is made. Everything was made back then from Jello. I don't know if Matthew Rooney could just bring up some Easter magic and bring up a photo of some gelatinous
Oh my
mess.
God. Yeah, there was some things that were absolutely, I'm like, people ate this. Just I don't know if it's the vintage pictures mixed with the saturation of the colors. It just looks like a toy or something fake.
Something is not right about this, right?
No.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Easter Boba, when you were a youngling,
Yes.
Easter Boba, did you have a lot of when you were getting Star Wars toys in your Easter baskets, which I'm sure you did? Did you ever have like a gelatinous thing for Easter Sunday?
Is a big Uba fish.
I think that hey, he liked it. He liked it. Me, on the other hand, you know what? No, there was no Chicago tradition. But I would say the food in the 1970s was like no other. It was kind of like the end of all the craziness from the 50s and 60s that the 70s just became one big drunken party.
Oh, dude. I see those pictures like the best are just
Easter
like,
Boba can relate to that.
yeah.
So, Easter Boba, do you have? I know he can't answer me. But I do have a question for him. Do you have a favorite chocolate? What was in that Easter basket of yours? It looked like a Kit Kat of some kind. Is that your favorite
Oh,
candy?
hold on. No. I want to know where. Oh, what we got? Oh, that's the stuff
Yeah,
right
you
there.
can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with
Oh,
the Reese's. Now, I'm sure he's a fan of the Easter Bunny, but it looks like we do have some kind of crazy thing. Okay,
oh.
you know, that's pretty tame, actually.
I was gonna say that's not too bad. Oh man, there was some pretty hideous ones. I mean, Jello itself, if you break it down once you read what it is, it's kind of disgusting, you know.
Yeah, Jello itself is kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
But let
So,
alone like it filled with. Oh no, Easter Bubba likes Jello. But when it's filled with like olives or hot dogs or ham.
oh, hold on. I'm gonna send Matt Rooney some great pictures here in 1 second. One of the creepy ones.
We do have
Oh,
a crazy recipe. Some crazy food items. Hey, Rich Brendel says that that fish sounds good. And
the
then
fish.
Brad Riverdale says traditional Easter dinner brought to you by Jepson's Malort. Yeah, back then, yes, for sure.
Yeah, that was Barry gave the great studious account of the Malort last time, right?
Yeah,
Or
well,
two ago now.
Yeah, 2 ago. Yeah, Jello. Patreon member John Drake says Jello kicks ass, even better than blue milk. I gotta disagree with you on that. How about some blue milk Jello shots? I want to see that at the next Easter party. And Dale, he guy, diced carrots and Jello, nasty.
Nasty. Who does that? That's not. I
You
didn't
know,
even know that was
well,
a thing.
obviously Dale has grown up around the same area that we did, where the food from the 70s is just super, super wacky. Hey, I gotta let you go, Easter Boba. I know you were busy. I was going to say busy cat, even though you're
Oh,
a bunny. Hey, would you eat this, Easter Boba? Uh, this is a hard-boiled egg and shrimp, and it looks like peas in a Jello mold.
oh,
Oh, I think Easter Boba's throwing up on the side there. Yeah,
I didn't.
this is crazy, but this is the stuff that we grew up with. This kind of wacky Jello mold with all kinds of crazy shit. Hey, it is not an Easter miracle that Rick Goldschmidt, Rankin Bass biographer and historian, was not able to join us today. I don't know. Hey, it happens. It happens. To the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
of us.
People's schedules, man, they get busy.
People schedule. Man, he's the first one to just not show up. Hey, yeah, shame on him. I got a feeling Easter Boba is not going to be going to Rick Goldschmidt's house tomorrow.
Oh,
I got a feeling he is not. Hey, Easter Boba, I know you're busy. We're going to let you go, but happy Easter to you, or I should say, happy Easter, as I am drinking a Imperial IPA at this point. And yeah, like a bantha, baby, get on that bantha and ride the train. And make sure to stuff all the little girls and all the little boys' Easter baskets full of not just candy, but make sure you put some toys in there, man. Hey, we'll see you next time, Easter Boba. Hey, I do want to bring on Matthew Rooney for a minute. Matthew, Ian, are you guys familiar with these Rankin Bass specials? I was looking forward to this, talking about these Easter specials, because they are so nostalgic to me. They're very, very much in line with everything that Rankin Bass did during Christmas time. It's pretty much a replicated version of Frosty the Snowman. It's the first Easter Rabbit is narrated.
I was
by
going to say,
Burl
is that
Ives.
Easter Rabbit there?
That's the first Easter Rabbit,
Okay.
narrated by Burl Ives himself. And then we're getting stop motion from Rankin and Bass. This is the stuff that heavily inspired Phil Tippett. I know Phil Tippett was inspired by the people that did this art before Rankin and Bass did it. But this stuff is very much in line with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus is coming to town. It's such a flashback. Do you guys have any nostalgic connection to these shows?
I remember watching them, but I don't feel that nostalgic about it, I guess. I'm not a big Easter fan in general. I mean, I like the candy.
So hey, now were you more of a guy like you wanted candy in your basket instead of toys kind of guy?
No, Matt.
Oh,
He was asking Ian, but
Sorry. I didn't.
No,
hear
Matt, I'm asking you that. I know you said you're more.
Oh, you asked me?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, no, I never got. I did get, like, one year I did get baseball cards, which actually was like where I started to collect baseball cards. But I never really got toys. Like, I got an Easter basket some years, but I think it was just candy. I don't remember there ever being any toys in it.
But you got baseball cards in that once, and
There was one. I remember there was like a pack of it was like Fleer 91. I remember specifically because I feel nostalgic for that.
Oh, okay.
That set. It was like the bright yellow border baseball cards.
And that started your love for baseball cards.
Yeah, which I still got rid of my collection, but now I just get like some of the Dodger players that I like, since that's my team.
Ian, how about you? What was in your Easter basket many years ago that you were like, man, that's nostalgic to me? And these Rankin Bass specials.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as the Rankin Bass specials, I don't really remember the stop motion one, but I have memories like teaming, pulling from the back of my head, looking at these images that I remember that one playing. I don't know if it was just like a VHS at my grandmother's house or something like that. But as far as like Easter baskets, you guys were bringing up Star Wars stuff, and like some of the things I believe my mom put in was like around the prequels, was especially episode 1. There was so much stuff. I remember getting themed baskets. It was just every year there was always something, at least an action figure or something, not necessarily Star Wars. It could have been Swamp Thing. or something, you know,
Yeah,
whatever
but
I was
you
into.
always had an action figure.
Oh
in
yeah, there was always
that.
some kind of something in there, and I'm doing that with my 14-year-old son. I'm still holding on to that. I was like, what do I
You
what do
have
I
to,
give
brother.
this
You
kid? I'm
have
gonna
to.
get a video game or something.
Yeah, you know what? That's what that's
Don't
the
listen to that, Campbell, if you're watching.
that's the gift giving part about our childhood that we like to pass on to our kids, or at least try to. But hey, you know what? Hey, we're gonna go a little
Uh-oh.
longer. We had hit the hour mark, but our guest Rick Goldschmidt is joining us live. So hey, I want to bring him on and talk a little bit about these specials. Rick, thank you so much for joining the show, man. I appreciate your time.
Sure. Sorry, I'm late here because I didn't see the button to enter the studio.
Oh,
It was below the picture.
hey, no worries, man. No worries. I am glad you are joining the show. I want to ask you, out of all three of these Rankin Bass Easter specials, which one is your personal favorite, and which was the first one that you remember seeing?
Well, it was the first one. Here Comes Peter Cottontail is my favorite because that was a good time for the Rankin Bass production studio. They had just made Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and Maury Laws and Jules Bass wrote some phenomenal songs for that special, and also for Here Comes Peter Cottontail. And Romeo Muller, who wrote Rudolph and Frosty and all the other classic Rankin Bass, he was the writer. He took a small storybook, The Easter Bunny That Overslept, and expanded it with Evil Irontail and all the other cool characters. So that really is my favorite special, the very first Easter special that they did.
Yeah, and I want to say that came out was it 1970 or 1971?
71. And they actually followed it up with another Danny Kaye special called The Emperor's New Clothes, which was supposed to be a series on ABC called The Enchanted World of Danny Kaye, but they only made that one special. They were going to go and do Punch and Judy, Jack Frost as part of the series, and they had a lot of different treatments written and even puppets made, but they only did that first episode.
Now, because you are the biographer for Rankin and Bass, did you find out any interesting story about the production of these three Easter specials? Was there one thing that stuck out to you where, like, man, that is just one of the craziest behind the scenes stories that I've ever heard?
Well, I watched all three of them this week already, and something came to mind that I didn't think about before. The second one, which was done in 1976, the first Easter Rabbit with Burl Ives and
Yes.
my late friend Robert Morse. What happened with that is in 1975, they did a special called The First Christmas, and I actually owned a few of those puppets from that particular special. Angela Lansbury was the star. And Arthur Rankin told the story at the Museum of Television in New York when I was there about Irving Berlin. And they bought the rights to White Christmas, the song White Christmas. And Irving Berlin found out about it and called Arthur up and said he didn't want him to use the song White Christmas in a children's Christmas special. And originally it was called The First White Christmas, but then they changed the name to The First Christmas. But they did use the song White Christmas, and Arthur told Irving Berlin, I'll tell you what, I won't use the song if you write a new song. And he said, I don't do that. stuff anymore, a swear word, which was a kind of a funny story. But then it came to mind this week when I was watching the first Easter Rabbit. At that time, they also bought the rights to Irving Berlin's song, Easter Parade. And that's kind of why they made the special the following year. And I noticed that both the first Christmas and the first Easter Rabbit were written by Jules Bass under his pseudonym, which was Julian P. Gardner. And P stood for phony. So Romeo Muller didn't write the second special, and he was actually writing other specials for other studios by that time. But they brought him back for the third special, which was The Easter Bunny is Coming to Town with Fred Astaire.
Yeah, that is a very, very interesting small world kind of story. Now, you mentioned that you had some used some puppets and whatnot. We had a good friend, Kevin Kreis, who I'm sure you're familiar with because he's kind of had some of those screen used pieces. Do you have anything from the Easter specials in your collection that are either pre-production, post-production, or production itself?
Well, Maury Laws, who wrote the music to all the specials, he lent me his record collection when I was doing the first book, the Enchanted World of Rankin Bass, and there's a very rare production album. It's a promo for the Here Comes Peter Cottontail. It's on green vinyl, and it's nearly impossible to find because they just gave it to the people that worked on the show, and that was it. So I have some of those, and I have some of the Paul Coker original art and press photos and things. So there wasn't a whole lot of collectibles on the Easter specials until my first book came out, which is The Enchanted World of Rankin Bass. And this has the Easter stuff in it too. Anesco decided to do a figurine line that I got involved with shortly after my first book came out. And those are very hard to find now too, because it kind of had a niche audience. It wasn't as well accepted as Rudolph was. So not as many of those figurines sold. But there is a big interest in it. I just wrote an article for Remind magazine that got shared around the internet, and they changed the title of the article. I basically wrote it as the Rankin Bass Easter Trio, but they knew that if they put a question like, where have these specials been? Why aren't they on TV anymore? They'd get a bigger response. And that turned out to be true. And a lot of people in the comments were saying that they have their original videotape of Peter Cottontail, or they have the original DVD, but they don't know that in 2010, they did a nice foil cover for the Here Comes Peter Cottontail disc. And they did one for the first Easter Rabbit. It's a foil cover. And the color and the clarity of this particular issue is unbelievable. It looks just magnificent.
Like almost like
I thought that they were just
kind of quality, yeah.
What's that?
Like almost like crystal clear 4K kind of quality.
Right. And unfortunately, Universal took over the specials, and all of their Blu-rays have been subpar. When they did Here Comes Peter Cottontail, they did a nice cover for it, but it's the time compressed edited version that was on the network a few years before. Okay. And it's missing about 8 minutes of the content. And the edits are even in songs and in the middle of the credits. I mean, they're all over the place because they were fitting in as many commercials as they could. So the Blu-ray's terrible. No one should even buy that. And all the Universal Blu-rays need to be redone. Recently, with Umbrella Entertainment, I got involved with a Mad Monster Party Blu-ray package release that comes out next month. And I think that's going to set the bar pretty high on Blu-rays going forward for Rankin Bass Productions. So they could do, if they were smart, they'd put these three together in a nice Blu-ray package and involve me with all the extras, and I'll do the commentaries and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, why would they not ask you? Because you are the Rankin Bass historian and biographer. You also have a website where people can buy these books, even buy these copies that you highly recommend, right? What's that website called?
It's miserbros.com, and I have an Etsy store that's also under Miser Bros.
Okay,
Miser Bros meaning Heat Miser and Snow Miser.
yes.
That's our publishing company for the books.
So
And to answer your question about the Blu-rays and all of that, large companies have taken over a lot of properties. I'm surprised Disney doesn't own them already because they bought up everything.
yeah,
And when large companies own stuff, they don't know what to do with it, and they're not even that aware of me. But there are also politics that play into it. They get people involved that shouldn't be involved, and then they end up doing sort of talking head pieces where they get a bunch of famous people saying why they like the shows. Nobody wants to see that. They want to see, actual content and specific stories about the specials. And the nice thing about my work with the studio is I got to know everybody personally and become very good friends with everyone. They trusted me, so I have all of that to share. I mean, that goes from the designers to the people who did the music and the voice actors. I knew all the voice actors when they were living. Most of the people now are gone. Jules Bass died last year, and Paul Coker Jr. died last year. Even Masaki Izuka, who was sort of their younger protege in Japan, he passed away a couple of years ago, and that was unexpected. So unfortunately, these big companies just don't really have a good grasp on what people like. And a lot of people ask, why are these specials so special? And Rankin Bass didn't make things to just be the flavor of the moment and make money. They had a different goal in mind, and that was to make quality products, quality specials, quality whatever they worked on with the budget that they had. They couldn't always do what they wanted to do, but they last, an eternity because of the quality that went into it. The writing by Romeo Muller is the key.
The music is so good too,
Yeah, it teaches values and it's good family entertainment, and we don't see that in the modern world at all.
You really don't. And as I'm watching a lot of these old Easter specials, including the Rankin Bass specials, is you're getting, especially during Christmas time and Easter, there is a spiritual element. There's a lot of people that connect with these holidays because of their spiritual beliefs. And you see this in not only Charles Schultz's work, but you see this clearly in Rankin Bass's work. And it's one of these things that somehow, as we grew through time, these messages that Rankin and Bass were spreading, and not in a like I'm going to cram this message down your throat kind of way, which is what I love about it. Right? It was very subtle, but you You knew it was appropriate. You knew it was good valued. And you're right, Rick. I feel like a lot of this has been kind of lost in time. At the same time, I feel like this is a reason why we still connect with these specials. And while we're still talking about them today. Now, why do you think these Easter specials are more along the lines of deep cut Rankin and Bass specials when you compare them to like Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Rudolph, and also Frosty the Snowman? I mean, is it just comparing Easter to Christmas in general, or
Well,
these are lost specials in my opinion that we obviously still enjoy today.
yeah, I think the major networks, they're not even key players in entertainment today anyway. But like AMC and Freeform and the different stations that show the Christmas ones during Christmas should be showing the Easter. Maybe they're just not aware of them. That's a possibility. But I think they would do just as well, if not the same, as the Christmas specials, because they have the same kind of qualities to them. And there is a fan base that would grow had it had more exposure. A lot of people in the comments on that magazine article I wrote were saying that wokeness did away with these, and people wouldn't have it today, and this and that. But I think it's more about the dollar. If it makes money for someone, a network or whatever, they're going to show them. They just haven't shown them in so long. They don't know what the ratings would be if they did show them. So hopefully one day they'll end up. Maybe I'll start a Rankin Bass network and air them all.
You should. Now, okay, you do say too that these have not been shown on the network in a long time. Do you have? I'm sure you do. Do you have record of when the last time these were shown on a major network? And I want to say that CBS Channel 2 is the one that's still showing like Frosty and Rudolph and that sort of stuff.
Right.
When was the last time this stuff was even shown on a major network?
I think the last that I saw on all my publicity stills was the early 80s. So it's been a long time. But again,
a long time.
These companies are so big that they don't know what to sell to what. They don't know the value of anything. And unless they involve someone like me, they're not gonna know, Yeah. So when they put out the Blu-rays a few years ago with Universal, I was like, you're gonna do these with no extra content at all and just have famous people talking about them? And that's what they did. And it didn't make any sense to me then, and it doesn't make any sense to me now. Like I said, when you see this Mad Monster Party Blu-ray package, that'll really set the bar much higher than anything that's been out previously. I was involved with some others, like The Daydreamer. I did the commentary on the Blu-ray, and The Year Without a Santa Claus Blu-ray was good. We did a nice Rankin Bass documentary on there. And the previous Mad Monster Party releases were pretty good too. At least they had some content, but they really need to give these specials, because they're so special, a special treatment too. And hopefully that's what's going to happen in the future.
It sounds like the case of a big corporation not paying attention to detail from fans by the fans sort of situation. Right. Hey, I want to send people again to Miser Bros on Etsy and miserbros.com. But before I let you go, Rick, I appreciate your time and sharing sharing some of this stuff with us. I really, really do.
Sure.
What was your first introduction to the world of raking and bass, and how did you light that spark to get involved like the level you are on now?
Well, Rudolph was special to me just because my earliest memory of Santa Claus and Rudolph was that special. And when Santa was flying in the sky at the end of the special, I thought he was on the way to my house. That's how young I was to watch Rudolph. So Rudolph has always had a special memory for me. They even showed it as a treat film in grammar school. So I had a lot of exposure to that. But I had never thought I would ever do anything with Rankin Bass Productions until I got out of college and I started talking to Jack Davis, who was my idol. I loved his art. I wanted to be an artist like him. And I knew he had designed Mad Monster Party and some of the others, like the King Kong show and the Jackson 5 show. And I said, whatever happened to Rankin Bass? They just kind of disappeared, and I never read anything about them. And they're as iconic as Hanna-Barbera and all the Looney Tunes artists and everybody else. So why hasn't there been a book? And he said, well, give Paul Coker Jr. a call. He's always in contact with Arthur. So I did. And then Paul gave me Arthur's number in Bermuda. Arthur lived in New York and Bermuda, mostly in Bermuda. So I called him up from work in Bermuda and I told him there should be a book. And he said, send me 2 chapters. So I went and worked on 2 chapters at a friend's house who had a primitive computer. I didn't even have a computer back then. And I put together 2 chapters and he liked it. And the next thing I knew, he sent me a little micro cassette in the mail. And I had to buy a player to listen to that. And I did. And he just started telling me his whole business life story. And from there, I just became totally involved. I scrounged everything up for the first book and I became the historian. And it just happened like that. It's almost like it was a calling, that this was my calling in life. And I didn't know it. I didn't go to school for writing, but this was something that I got into at the right time, because they were all around 60 years old at that time. So they could still give me things, talk about things, remember things. And most of them made it to 90 or above and passed away now. So everything that they gave me and told me, I have. So it's kind of nice that I got in right at that time.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you and I went to the same school. Obviously, I got into the film business, but I went to Columbia College for music, the music business. Did you not go to Columbia College for journalism?
Yeah, I got a degree in illustration there. And actually, my degree wasn't wasted, because a lot of things that I do sometimes require artwork or design work. And I can do that on the fly, or I could give good direction on that. That's another reason why Arthur and I became so close. He was the art director at ABC Television. He was an artist. He loved Jack Davis. He loved Paul Coker. He loved Al Hirschfeld. He loved all the artists that I loved. So we immediately connected in that way. And the same with Maury Laws. Because I was a musician, I understood what he was doing and what his best work was, and so on and so forth. We even were going to do a Rankin Bass Productions, sort of a Broadway musical kind of thing with all the songs. He even sent the producer to my home, and we went through what we were going to do, but the financing on that fell through. unfortunately. And Maury would have loved to have seen that happen during his lifetime, but maybe it'll happen further down the road.
That would have been amazing. Hey, Rick, before I let you go, what was I usually ask, what was your first concert? But I'm going to ask you, what was your favorite concert? I know you're a music guy. What was your number one favorite concert that you've been to of all time?
Well, my parents drove me up to Alpine Valley in 1982 because I was such a big Police fan.
Yeah.
And we ended up sitting like right in the front rows, kind of. And it was a really great experience. And I remember, and I told this to Dave Wakeling from the English Beat. One of the members of the Beat, the black member, I don't remember his name, but he was the other singer in the band. For some reason, he was in the audience after they opened, and he was behind me anyway. So during One World Is Enough from Ghost in the Machine, he came running from the back to go up on stage and sing with Sting, but the security tackled them down like he was some intruder. And then eventually they figured it out, and he did make it up to the stage. So I thought that was really kind of a crazy one of my first concerts.
Yeah, that is a crazy moment, man. Hey, Rick, thank you again for joining the show. I appreciate you. I look forward to having you on a Mocktails from the Cantina Christmas special.
Sure. Happy Easter, and sorry I was late. I didn't see the button on the phone.
No worries, man. No worries. Happy Easter to you. And again, guys, miserbrothers.com and Miser Brothers on Etsy for that true, authentic, genuine Rankin Bass collectables. So much you offer on the site, man. Rick, thanks again, man. We will see you soon, brother.
Thanks. Take care.
Take care. You too. All right. Hey, I am your host, Chris Mock. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in live, everybody watching on the replay. I want to thank Matthew Rooney. I also want to thank Ian Savage, Easter Bubba, Rick Goldschmidt, Baby Belushi, and all the Patreon members tuning in live tonight. So we do have yes, it is time for the Patreon name draw. Michael Adams. Michael just went from $5 to the 1138 tier. And what the 1138 tier does is it gives you not only access to Inside the Wampa Cave and the podcast, but it gives you a beer and a chat with me. You get to join the show, and you get access to all my film behind the scene specials. Okay, Michael Adams, not tuning in live. I know it's Easter weekend. We do this in a 3 strikes you're out. Hey, Matthew, behind the scenes, is there any way we can get a little Robert Hines band music to send us home? Jeremy's been a big supporter of a long time. He is not as vocal in the Mocktails from the Cantina Patreon community as he should be, but he did send us a message for the 100th episode for the pod. You got to get Robert Hines band to perform out in my neck of the woods. Not this Oswego or Aurora bullshit. Sharon Sandoval. Sharon, are you tuned in live? I know you're very vocal in the Mocktails from the Cantina Patreon community, but you are not joining us live tonight. Hey, happy Easter to you guys. Hopefully you've been on, do we call it the nice list? I don't know. You know what, Ian, do we call getting an Easter basket on the nice list, or is that a Christmas thing?
I don't know. I mean, it pretty much the Easter Bunny is getting treated like Santa Claus around these parts here. You better be good. So yeah, I would say it's the naughty or nice basket. Yeah,
the naughty or nice basket. So hopefully you guys are on the nice list, and hopefully you guys don't consume so much Easter grass that you don't know what your first concert was. Hey, I I'm your show host, Chris Mark. We will see a lot of you guys at the end of April, beginning of May, all through the month of May. We got a lot of great Star Wars stuff coming up, and I raise my glass to you guys. Happy Easter. We will catch you guys next time on Machtails from the Cantina Live. So long, everybody.